Hey everybody, what's up? Punch here playing some For Honor. I've had the Centurion for quite some time now, and I've witnessed him and his initial release and post nerf midway through the week he came out. So now that most of the For Honor player base has access to him, I'm sure they're going to go through the same frustrations that we had. The Centurion is a great ganker. He's also a great solo 1v1 hero, but he can be really deadly when paired with another Centurion or another player, in fact. But more of the focus on when there are two Centurions, which is what we had to deal with. So people are now complaining that they are hard to counter, and yes, that is partially true. Now, just a little disclaimer here: I'm in no way a pro gamer, so moving on. Against 2 or 3 Centurions, and mind you, this doesn't only apply to Centurions, but to the Shinobi as well. Because if there are multiple Shinobis, it can be really frustrating to go up against them. So, but anyway, in general, against 2 or 3 of the new heroes, getting out of the gank can be quite a pickle. So here's what I have for you, and it is in no way the best of solutions, but it is currently the only one out there right now, I suppose. Since revenge is supposed to be a delay mechanism for your teammates to help you, or at least that's how the developers have explained it. It's pretty much pointless to pop it up for the knockback now, because that doesn't mean you shouldn't. Because the knockback only affects players who are attacking you with lights or heavies, but since the Centurions and the Shinobis have a bunch of kicks and punches and all that, revenge knockdown doesn't really knock them down on that. It doesn't counter them on that. It doesn't repel that. So, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't pop your revenge, because you should. The current meta seems like ganking is the best way to go, and once ganked, you have no other options but to either run, to try and run away, or delay and play turtle in hopes that your teammates will come to your rescue. Well, running away seems like the easier option, and trust me, it is. Playing turtle will help your team win the match. I've experimented with a few things to find a solution to the current gank meta, and running is probably the worst option. It is the easiest one to survive if you want to survive, but it is the worst option in that sense of a team game. So if you choose to run, you'll have to have the feet to sprint, which not all of the heroes have. And since they took out the item stat of increasing your sprint speed, so that's not an option anymore. And if you do use the sprint feat, then that means that you're on borrowed time. When that sprint feat runs out, when the buff runs out, then your enemies will just simply catch up to you and finish off the job. Sure, you gave them a run for a bit, but you may have also led them to your teammates who are totally unprepared for what I like to call Zerg Rush, or what everyone calls Zerg Rush. So lately, however, I've made myself a revenge build that pops quite frequently because of the revenge gain and the new item stats that are available. And I've also increased its duration and defense gain. I've also increased my in general, I have a pretty high defense. I'm sorry I don't have a video clip of it right now, but the gist of it is here on the voice things. I know it will help the video if I had like a thing, but anyway. So forget about revenge attack gain, the revenge attack. Forget about that, because if you get ganked by a bunch of Centurions, there's no way you're gonna get in anything more than a light attack or 2 probably. So you have to play turtle, you have to play defensive, and they can kick you around all they want, but you'll just keep popping that revenge and you'll keep gaining armor. So parry and block, but mostly block. One of the item stats that I've taken to increase is the block damage percentage. So I've pretty much prioritized that, because when you're in a gank, it will be really hard to parry and to block, and sometimes you won't even know which attack to block, which attack to parry, because they'll be all coming from all 3 directions. But if you can parry, that's great, because when you parry, you can parry all the other attacks. But since there is the new Centurion's kick and the Shinobi's kick as well from the zone attack, every time you do parry, they'll just kick you off into some other direction and put you off balance. So it's blocking is probably what you really want, and parrying if you see like a really obvious attack that you can parry. So you'll want to also increase your block damage so that you won't have to worry so much about their heavy attacks getting through, and reserving your parries for the unblockables. Yeah, mostly there will be a lot of unblockables coming from the Centurion, and you will want to parry those, because those are the really powerful ones, and the armor that you gain from Revenge, it's not a lot, even if you max it out. Now, and despite the fact that you'll be able to pop Revenges all the time, it's still not enough. Your main HP will still drain very quickly. You're just trying to delay and keep alive as long as possible so that your other teammates can start doing the objectives or finish off one of the other teammates that isn't ganking you. Alright, so now if you're feeling a bit more bold and you feel like you have the skill for it, side steps are the best dodges you can do against Centurions and Shinobi. And yeah, actually it is the best option for you to do, to sidestep away, sidestep not backstep, sidestep from the kicks, because sometimes the kicks will hit you even though you backstep. So sidesteps are the best option for you when it comes to those kicks and punches. The Centurion's heavy and charged heavy attacks both have surprising range as well, and they are very powerful. Plus they're 50-50, so it's kind of hard to tell which one is which. But they do have a flaw, which is that they can't really torque much. They can't turn much. They don't have that tracking ability to turn so far. So your best option again is to sidestep a lot. Their attacks have limited sideways reach, and if you can time it well, the sidesteps will really do wonders for you, even in ganks, because they'll be missing left and right, and it'll give you an opportunity to you know, throw in a few lights, one or two, but don't overdo it, or else you'll just end up killing yourself. The same goes for kicks. Don't bother to dodge backwards, because the kicks are, they have surprising linear reach, but sideways, horizontally, or whatever you want to call it, they have poor reach, and that's the best way actually to punish a Centurion if you ever come across one. And so actually that was part of one of the nerfs that the developers did to the Centurion, because they increased the recovery time for the kicks if they miss, making it a lot more punishing for the Centurion. So they really have to think about it. I myself am one of those Centurion mains. I'm a main of all the hybrids. I've been maining all the hybrids since the beginning. And so you can trust me when I say that the ultimate punishment for a Centurion is to make them miss. You have to let them miss. So do those dodges and everything that you have to. Roll out even if you have to. Rolling out actually helps me a lot, but it's kind of costly when it comes to stamina. And so some players have claimed that playing Nobushi is a good counter to Centurion due to her long reach, but that isn't entirely true. I myself, as a Centurion, I've defeated a ton of Nobushi simply by, the Centurion can simply close the gap. He has 2 gap closers. Eagle something, I think it's called, or whatever, the jumping attack, and the other one, the charged heavy, and he can do a lot of fakes as well. So generally the lunges are the Centurion's best gap closers, and so then once you're in that close range, the Nobushi is pretty much useless. So then you can just keep on the pressure with light attacks, placing the Nobushi at a disadvantage, because remember, Nobushi is one of the slowest heroes to change directions during a guard stance. So blocking and parrying as a Nobushi can be quite the task when up against the Centurion. More often than not, if you try to parry a heavy attack as a Nobushi from one direction to the other, your next, for instance, if you block from the left and then you're trying to parry on the right, more often than not, you're gonna miss that window of opportunity to parry that heavy attack, and it's gonna hit you, and you're just gonna die. So yeah, it will be very hard. So no, the Nobushi is not a counter to the Centurion. Probably the best counters to Centurions are, I don't know, the guys that can also push back, like Warden, and the heroes that have a lot of fakes as well, like misdirection attacks, like the Raider and Kensei, those heroes. So okay, so a good Centurion will also know how to switch up his moves. So if you ever come up against a Centurion who's pretty much experienced, and I speak, you have to be the judge of this on your own from the battle itself, from the combat itself, because I mean there are a lot of Centurions out there right now who have like what, 12 reputation 12, but all they've ever done was Dominion AI mode. So that defeats the purpose of, I don't know what they're trying to achieve by getting as high, probably the gear score and the higher gear equipment and whatever, or for just to brag, but they have no real skill when you go up against a player. But yeah, so the really good Centurions, these guys are really good, because one of his biggest assets is his ability to 50-50, which is the Centurion will start an attack and then it can branch out into several other attacks and keep their opponent guessing. So if you guess wrong, you'll get punished for it, and it'll probably destroy you. So yeah, that's the best asset of the Centurion. So guessing, it's a guessing game a lot. But this is for the good Centurions. The really bad Centurions can be really, well, predictable, I guess is probably a lighter term. But anyway, so if you're skilled enough to take on a Centurion of that level, then you probably already know how to dodge and punch your attacks. So it's going to take some feint attacks and light attacks to sort of up your game. And it will be like a really slow game match, right? But surely it will bring the Centurion to his knees. So anyway, I guess that's it for this one. If you like the video, to let me know which content that I make that you guys like. I have other stuff, like I'm making the Tales of the Borderlands. You guys can check that out and like it if you like that video as well. I try as much as my best. It's just a lot of things are going on right now. I try as much as I can to give in to your demands, and it'll help me a lot to improve myself, and do subscribe and show me a little bit of love, dinosaur love. I'll see you guys in the next one.
You lost enemy rally.